Welcome to Echoes from the Arena. This is episode number 7, Women in Sport, Part 2, a prelude to Wimbledon. This may as well be called the episode about Billie Jean King because that's what it really is. But we're also going to discuss this being the eve of Wimbledon play. We've got Wimbledon play starting tomorrow with first round action. Dad, we wanted to discuss Billie Jean King as part 2 of our Women in Sport. Why would we want to discuss Billie?
Billy is
Or Miss King, I guess I should say, really.
well she's one of the greatest sportswomen. She's an activist. She's a humanitarian.
We would really just say sportsman, probably, because if
Yeah, I don't know if
just to,
sportsman was correct or not, but I wanted to make sure to give her due. But sportsman, if we want to go there, she certainly has proven time and time again that she is a very she's just a remarkable human being and a remarkable athlete, a champion, both on the court, in the boardroom. So she's definitely somebody we need to speak about, especially when we're talking about this subject of women in sport.
without further ado.
So just a little background on her. She was born in 1943. She's from Long Beach, California. Her dad was a fireman. Mom was a homemaker. The Her brother Randy Moffett, baseball fans would know him. He was a relief pitcher for years. Pitched mainly with the San Francisco Giants, but I believe towards the end of his career he played for another team, but spent most of his time in San Francisco. She was a very good athlete, obviously. Played numerous sports growing up, but took up tennis and actually entered her first tournament at age 14. She, I'm, the timeline is pretty intense, so I'm just going
Mhm.
to I'm not going to bore anybody. I'm going to try to just hit the high points. So in 1961, she had already won her first Wimbledon title. It
So
was
that was before she was 20.
That was before she was 20. Her doubles partner was a young lady by the name of Karen Hansey, who was also, I believe, a teenager. So they were the youngest pair to ever win a title at Wimbledon. And that began her career at Wimbledon, and she is the most prolific champion. She has won 20 Wimbledon titles. That's doubles,
Crossed. Doubles,
singles,
mixed
mixed.
doubles.
Yes. Six singles tournament, six singles titles. So um, she knew the grass. She definitely played well in the grass. Her first victim was in '66. She beat a very good player, Maria Bueno, and also in '67 won actually the uh, the Wimbledon singles, U.S. Open singles, Australian singles.
Wow.
And that year she was named Associated Press Female Athlete of the Year.
Did she ever win the French?
She did not win the French, so
Oh, so she never did the career
I
Grand Slam.
can't call her a career Grand Slam
Hmm.
person.
Wonder how
So
close she got.
I don't know. I don't know. There wasn't much that I was able to find on her. Any matches in the French that were
Of note.
of note. Yes. So I
Keep
really didn't
going.
find that.
Keep
I
going. I'll
know.
take a look.
Okay. I Yeah. Uh she 1971. She became the first woman athlete to earn over 100,000 a year. She was awarded the Sports Illustrated Sportsman of the Year, the first woman to receive that honor. And she continues to win various titles that year. She won the U.S. Open singles. She also that year won the Wimbledon, U.S. Open, and French Open doubles titles. I think she was probably a career Grand Slam. She won the Grand Slam in doubles.
I don't mean to check you in real time, but she did win the French Open.
But she did. Okay. I missed that one. That was,
1972.
I'm glad we cleared that up. I
Glad
would
you
have,
looked that up.
yeah,
And I looked it up and I saw the AI response and I'm like, no, I'm gonna need something a little bit more. I need something I can trust a little bit more than that.
yeah.
No, in 72, she won the French, Wimbledon, and the US Open.
Okay.
And she had the singles French, the doubles French, and she did not win the mixed doubles that year, but she
Okay.
won every slam in every in singles, doubles, and mixed doubles. She was
Okay.
a career Grand Slam for every all of them. That's kind of amazing.
That's amazing when you think about it. Yes, that's amazing. And just, just her style of play. Last week we talked about two
Mhm.
players that preceded her, Suzanne Langland and uh, her name escapes me.
Um,
Um,
Alice Marble.
Alice Marble. Yeah, thank you. And we were talking about their aggressive style. They kind of changed the game, uh, getting off the
Mhm.
baseline, highlighting their athleticism. Well,
Mhm.
Billie Jean took that to the next level. She was very aggressive, played a great all-court game, but was a tenacious serve and volleyer.
I have
Um,
since I never remember seeing her play live
right,
because
right,
of my age.
right.
I remember Patrick Rafter
Okay, yeah,
as
yeah,
kind of the quintessential serve and volleyer.
yeah.
Is she, was she that?
She would have been that good. Yes, she would
Was
have
she
been
like
not.
or that committed to it? Was she
Yes,
that committed to the serve and volley where
she
it's
was very
coming? She's
committed.
coming in on almost every
Yes.
serve.
She will not, or did not sit back in the baseline. She would come in. So to answer your question, I would, that's a good comparison. She would be like the female version of Patrick Rafter, where she
But
was
more
coming in.
prolific.
So more prolific, obviously, with the titles she had. And you got to remember, again, she's playing the majority of her career with wood rackets. So
Yeah, and he wasn't.
she had a pretty, again, in that era, women weren't, well, it's tough to serve people, whether you're a woman or a man with a wood racket, but
Mhm.
she wasn't I'm not saying she was hit bombs for serves, but her serves were very good, very well placed, and again, would keep the player back and I think her best shot was her approach shot, which would set up that volley. She was very good at keeping you back in the baseline.
I was just
So
reading here she had a one-handed backhand, which was
she did.
probably
She
very
did.
rare at the
Yes,
time.
she did.
Went to UCLA.
Spent some time at UCLA. Yes. Yes.
Um, and we were talking about Langland's win-loss record and winning
Right.
percentage, remember?
Right. Like 90, what was it? 98%?
98 or something
Yes.
ridiculous.
Yes.
So Billie Jean King, who we recognize as one of the greats of tennis, period,
Right.
and someone who has won multiple Grand Slam singles titles. I count 12.
Okay.
Australian once, French once, Wimbledon 6 times, US Open 4 times.
Okay.
Um,
Amazing. Amazing.
but her win percentage, 81.1%,
Yeah. Yeah.
to give you an idea of how dominant
Yeah.
Suzanne Langland was compared to her peers.
Right. Right.
Billie Jean King was 1,124 and 262 with 129 career titles.
Well, tennis is a funny game like that because I might have mentioned it already on our podcast here, but I know Roger Federer gave a great commencement speech 2 years ago at Dartmouth College, where
Hmm.
he spoke about. I think what he's trying to get across to the students is you will fail, but you need to continue to move forward and learn from your failures to become successful. Because
Yeah,
Roger Federer, one of the most prolific men's champions in all of tennis, uh, part of the big three, the he lost more points than he won in his career,
just kind of hard to fathom.
and which is hard to fathom, but was able to, win. What did he win?
20.
Was it 20 slams? Yes,
Yeah.
it was 20. Oh, he wins 20 slams. So the only player to win more is Djokovic, who
Djokovic.
is still playing. And I don't think he's finished yet. I think because he might have one more left in him. It might be this one.
Hmm.
That starts tomorrow.
Yeah, grass is, I think, his best shot.
That's his best shot, I think. Yeah.
Um, I think uh, I could be completely wrong on this. I feel like Federer got a slightly late start with winning Grand Slams. I remember him being kind of a hothead as a
He did.
younger
Oh, he
player.
did. His a little bit of history from Fed. His father, when Fed was a teenager, a younger teenager, his
Hmm.
father basically it was stop throwing the rackets, stop losing your temper, or the game of tennis, you're not playing it. So he kind of laid the law down, and he was a hothead. I remember him. He had really long hair, and he played at Wimbledon in one year. And I said, "Who is this guy from Switzerland?" And they said his name, and so I never heard of him.
And
And
then you're like, well, I'll never hear
you
from
know,
him again.
he lost early that year. Yeah, I say, okay, fine, he's gone. We probably won't hear from him. And then I believe it was the next year that he upset Pete Sampras,
I remember that.
who's a great champion. And I'm thinking to myself, who is this guy? He's still got the long hair, he's got the headband, and well, we know who he is. He is one of
We do
the
now. We do
best
now.
players ever. Um, Complete
But
gentleman, but yeah. So
back to our subject.
okay. So I'm glad you cleared that up. So Billie did win the career Grand Slam.
Not just
She
the career grand, just I want to reiterate this. She won the career Grand Slam in singles, doubles, and mixed doubles,
okay. So the old
which
trifecta.
is frankly incredible.
She was also um, now you got to remember before I believe I'm not sure the exact year, but bef in the late 60s, early 70s, you were when you played Wimbledon and the Open and the Aussie Open, you were an amateur.
Hmm.
And it wasn't until the early, I believe, 70s that uh, I mentioned earlier, in 1971, Billie Jean King won 100,000 that year. Now, so by that time, they were pros, receiving receiving pay for play. So
100,000
that's
in 1971 is a lot of money.
that was a lot of money. So we've got to remember that. And then uh, she uh, she was very again. Even then, the wheels were turning to do something bigger and better. So the I know her and I believe I don't have the number in front of me, but a number of pros signed a contract for $1,
Hmm.
and they were basically going to go on their own. They were going to start their own professional circuit, and it's the beginnings of the WTA. And when you look back, a lot of those players this was a gamble. There was no guarantee this thing was going to take off. And the people, those players You have to take your hat off to what they did and were able to accomplish.
I have the names of the other people.
Oh, do you? Why don't you? Yeah, why don't you
Yeah,
list them? Because it's definitely noteworthy.
I'm a decent Googler. It's so Billie Jean, all okay. So the original nine female tennis players that signed for with the Virginia Slims Tour, 1970.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
Billie Jean King, Rosie Castles,
Castell.
Casal,
Yeah. Rosie
Na
Castells. Yeah.
yeah, Nancy Ritchie,
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
Judy Dalton, Carrie Melville Reed, Julie Heldman, Peaches Bartkowski or Peaches Bartkowitz, Christy Pigeon, and Valerie Zeigenfuss.
There you go. Well, those were the ladies that took a gamble.
They signed $1 contracts with Gladys Heldman, who helped organize the tour in defiance of the USLTA's unequal treatment of women's tennis, according to the WTA.
Well, they had battles. There's a book that Billie Jean. It's her biography called All In, and in the book, which if you really want to get into the nuts and bolts of what drives her, that's what you want to read. But yeah, they had some battles with the status quo, the various associations and what have you,
Hmm.
because they were sure that this was going to fail, but she was able to get a title sponsor, Virginia Slims, and the rest is history. And then she also was the driving force. Her and her then husband, Larry King, who is not the TV host Larry King. He
Damn
was
it.
he was a law student when they met and married.
Oh
Yeah,
man, that would be weird.
yeah,
Whew.
but they created the World Team Tennis. So a lot going on. But we have more about that a little bit later on. So I think we're running into the early 70s now. 1973, there was a kind of a watershed moment in tennis.
Hmm.
And I think you know what I'm talking about if you want to speak a little bit about that.
Yep. So 1973 was technically the second battle of the sexes,
Okay. Yes, there was a previous one.
and there was one after it, but we'll get into that in a moment.
Yeah, I don't remember
Um,
the one after it.
yeah, I think you'll be interested to
You'll
hear
have
who
to
the participants of this one.
okay.
So 1973, um, Battle of the Sexes, September 20th at the Astrodome in Houston, Texas, between a 55-year-old Bobby Riggs, a former men's champion. Um, Dad, I don't know if you you might have been too young at the time to.
Yeah, I don't I be
Bobby
honest with
Riggs would
you.
have been playing before you would have been watching, right?
Yeah, I tell you, to be honest with you, the first time I've heard of Bobby Riggs was when he played Billie Jean. I know he did win Wimbledon. Is that true? Did he win a
Ooh,
Wimbledon? I think he
I'm
did.
gonna have to check.
He was a very good player. After the fact. He was a very good player, but he was 55 years old at the time. Yeah.
Yeah, so he Riggs won singles titles at Wimbledon, the U.S. National Championships, now the U.S. Open, was runner-up at the French Championships.
Oh,
He
okay.
was playing, his first matches were in 1939.
Oh, yeah.
So to give you an idea of how old
I
he
would not have
was.
been there.
No, no. He was born in 1918. So, but he to get back to the issue at hand, he had I believe a, and Dad, please chime in here because you were
Okay.
alive and I wasn't. Did he lay the gauntlet down or did she lay
He
the
did. I believe
he
he laid
did.
the gauntlet down. He laid the gauntlet down. Yes.
Okay. And he had played Margaret Court earlier that year, May 13th, 1973, and beaten her in straight sets 6-2, 6-1. So he was a 55-year-old Bobby Riggs. Margaret Court, I had already looked up, would have been 31
Okay. Okay.
at the time. Um,
And
so
not to criticize Margaret Court, but she was a very good champion. But she played that baseline game, whereas, when Briggs got in with Billie Jean, he's got to stave off that vicious serve and volley game. So uh, two players with really different approaches to tennis.
do you remember the match itself?
I did watch it. I do remember. I know it was 5 sets. Billie Jean won consecutive sets. I believe she won in three.
Hmm.
And that's, I remember more of the just the promotion and it was in Vegas, so it was everything Vegas is all about. It was very, glitzy, glamour, you had celebrities there. But I really don't remember, I don't remember a lot of the points or what have you.
Hmm.
I just felt that after the first set, I'm thinking to myself, Bobby Riggs is going to win this thing. He's just not going to win this thing. Um,
Not at his
not
age,
at
I
his
would
age,
think.
not at his age, and it was 73. So what? So she was 30,
She was 29,
29, going on 30.
but
Okay,
going on 30. Yeah.
yeah.
So the match itself had a winner take prize, winner take all prize of $100,000, which in today's dollars is over $700,000.
Wow, wow.
Um, and King entered the court in the style of Cleopatra on a feather adorned some sort of carriage carried by four bare-chested, muscled men dressed in the style of like I don't know, I, I guess slaves. I guess I hate to use
Yeah,
that term,
yeah,
but that's
yeah,
what they
that's what they
probably were
were. I
supposed
do
to,
remember that, and they were. I equated them more. I know they were. It was like Cleopatra, I think, with what we're getting at.
like Egyptian slaves.
I was looking at them being more like Persian slaves,
Oh, or something like that.
but something like that.
Um, Riggs apparently did all sorts of misogynistic shit. Anyway, he was given 50 grand to wear a yellow sugar daddy jacket during the match.
I remember that. Yes, it was a big sponsorship. Yeah, Bobby
That's the
Riggs.
candy, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh,
And
sugar,
you might have found this.
sugar
You might
babies
have.
are delicious, but
Yeah, they are.
sorry.
You might have found this out in the in your research there, but Bobby Riggs was a very good promoter, and he was a gambler, and he knew how to talk up and market an event.
I didn't get I didn't get the idea that he was uh totally on the up and up. He seemed
Yeah,
like kind of a bloviating,
could be a little shady. Yeah.
yeah. But anyway, so it's interesting how you've described some um of her playing style because part of the read through of some of the match itself suggests that at the beginning she did not play that way
Right,
because
right,
he thought she was going to. She stayed back and rallied and frankly kind of was displaying a bit more power than he had.
right, right.
Making him cover the entire court, which at 55, I'm sure was
Well, I think that was their
probably
strategy.
that was
Yeah.
their strategy, tire him out
Right,
and then put him down.
right.
Um, I did want to, and you had mentioned before that she had won the match, which she did in straight sets 6-4, 6-3, 6-3. Um, there's another thing that I wanted to bring up, and I was wondering if you'd be able to lend any information to it, but she almost didn't play in this match. In fact, right up till the day before, she was threatening to back out of it because of a gentleman by the name of Jack Kramer.
Yeah,
You know,
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know the actual incident. It probably came up in her book, and I probably read it and don't remember it. Jack Kramer was a very he was a contemporary of Bobby Riggs.
Hmm.
Again, a very he was a champion. I'm not saying he was as prolific a champion as you might think, but I know he had his probably his notoriety was the fact that uh, he endorsed Wilson rackets, and his racket, he had a signature racket, Jack Kramer racket, that actually I would guess probably was the highest selling racket at the time. Like everybody was using Jack Kramer rackets. I even had one at one time. They made Jack Kramer rackets well into the late 60s, early 70s. So that's the only thing I remember about Jack Kramer.
So
I don't know what was going on with I don't know what was
sh-
going on with her.
she
Yeah.
stated that she did not want to provide him a platform because he was so negative about the women's game that
Oh, okay.
he had made some comments disparaging women's tennis. She had threatened to back out of the match right up to the last night, in
Mm.
which he was replaced by Rosemary. Uh, what is it? Uh, Casal?
Casals. Yeah. Rosie
Casals.
Casals, yes.
Um,
So
it's
was he doing the broadcast?
yeah, it was
That was your,
Howard
oh, okay.
Cosell. It was Howard
I
Cosell.
remember Cosal,
It was
yeah.
going to be Howard Cosell, Gene Scott, and this Jack Kramer.
Oh, okay.
Well,
Ah,
Jack
okay.
Kramer was replaced with Rosemary Casals.
Smart.
Um, King had issued an ultimatum that she was going to withdraw from the match unless ABC dropped Kramer as a commentator. Her intention was to deny Kramer a platform to further disparage women's tennis. She said, "He doesn't believe in women's tennis. Why should he be a part of this match? He doesn't
That's a
believe
good
in
point.
half of the match. I'm not playing. Either he goes or I go,"
There you
which
go.
really is very to the point. Um,
Well, that's part of her.
that's her.
That's part of her makeup. That's her. That's what made her a great champion. That's what made her again a champion of a lot of humane efforts and what have you. So yeah,
So yeah,
that's
she beat him pretty good. Um, I'll give you the other one, the third one that I had found, which happened in 1992.
okay.
You had a 40-year-old Jimmy Connors
Okay.
versus Martina
Oh,
Navratilova,
I
who was
do.
35 at the time.
Why do I not remember that? I do not remember that at all.
It says here she had previously turned down invitations to take on John McEnroe and Ilia Nastase as she considered them undignified. And that's from an LA Times story called Navratilova Shriver versus Riggs Gerulaitis. At
Mm.
least it's different. Uh, I thought that was interesting. The initial idea was to try to get Connors to play Monica Seles, but
Okay.
she wouldn't do it.
What was this? How did it turn out?
Connors won 7-5, 6-2.
Okay. Right. And that was 91, right? You said?
92.
92. Okay.
Your birthday, 92.
Yes. Oh, wow. So that was kind of the end of the line for Jimmy. He was kind of about ready to retire by then because he had that really good
Yeah,
run at
that
the Open.
at the Open, US Open that one year. Hmm.
So that was it. He
Yeah.
he and he had a run. It was classic Connors. But no, I don't. 'Cause it's funny because I'm a big Connors fan. I loved his matches. I loved the way he played. I liked the way he worked the crowd, but I do not remember this match, which is odd. But it certainly must not have been marketed as well as the Bobby Riggs Billie Jean one, Billie Jean King match.
Would you like a couple other ones that I found?
What's that?
A couple other Battle of the Sexes that I
Oh,
found?
yeah. Yeah,
One happened in May 27th, 1921, Bill Tilden versus Suzanne Langland.
oh,
They,
okay.
they played a match at St. Cloud, France, but it was
Okay.
only a single set. Tilden prevailed 6-0.
Okay.
When later asked about the match, Langland said someone won 6-0, but I don't recall who it was.
She was too busy nipping a brandy, probably.
Uh, Alice Marble versus Cyril Kemp.
Okay.
Alice
Interesting.
Marble, one of the best players of her day, came to Dublin in 1939 to compete in the Irish Championships at Fitzwilliam Lawn Tennis Club. And during her stay, played an exhibition match against leading Irish tennis player Cyril Kemp. Marble won the hard-fought match 9-7, 8-6. A full
Wow.
account of the match
Okay.
can be found in
Okay.
the Irish Times edition of July 14th, 1939.
There you go.
Hmm.
Well, we're learning stuff today. That's what I love about our podcast. We're finding these
So that had already happened. That's
historical,
interesting.
yeah. I would have guessed that I knew about the original, um, or the, not the original, but the Margaret Court match. And I thought those are the only two. So it comes as a surprise that there were two previous ones and then the one in 92.
I mean, I would say they do state in here and that Kemp, Cyril Kemp, was a tennis player of significant accomplishment. He made 9 Davis Cup appearances for Ireland from 46 to 52 and won the men's singles open at the Irish Championships in 1950, but not the level of, I would say, not the level of accomplishment of Alice Marble.
No, that's I agree with you here.
Mm.
Okay, should we you wanna to move on here and
Yeah,
discuss
let's,
some more? Let me find my notes again. I'm lost my notes. There we go. So anyway, uh so uh so 73, so I appreciate you doing that for 1973. So I learned a lot. I enjoyed that. The She in 1974 she won her final Grand Slam doubles title,
yeah,
and in nine
hold on a second. I'd be remiss
yeah.
if I didn't state about the Battle of the Sexes that we were discussing. So it was in front of 30,000 fans at the Astrodome, but the global TV audience was believed to be more than 90 million,
Whew,
which
wow,
at the, I mean, that's a big number.
that's a big number. That's a huge number. That's a
Um,
huge number.
so it was quite the spectacle. And I know that she probably references this in her book, but I had found some references in on the interwebs that she mentions, hey, remember when I that match started, her serve got broken first.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
she got
So she
broken
was
first.
just okay. So he had a really
So
fast start.
and
Yes.
she felt that just she had to do it. There was no option to not,
Right. Right.
there was no option to lose, which is, an interesting thing until, you see somebody do it. So, sorry, you can
No,
continue.
no, it's fine. No, it's fine. The Yeah, what I was saying is her final where am I here? I keep losing my place here on this timeline. Uh,
You
in
were in
19
74.
Yeah, so in 1979, she played in her final singles at championship.
Hmm.
And this is important because what we're seeing now is we are seeing a one champion go out the door, another one coming in the door. She lost that final
Hmm.
to someone who certainly picked up the baton and took the game even farther, Martina Navratilova. So, and then Martina, again, the same style of play with the attacking serve and
Steve serving
volley.
volleyer. Yeah.
Martina was very much into weight training by this time. So she totally, because she kind of, I don't know if you're, well, you wouldn't because you weren't born yet, but Martina was not in the best shape when she came over from the Czech Republic, or actually was at the
Soviet
time
Union.
Czechoslovakia. So she defected. Not in a great shape, not in the best shape, and really transformed her body to,
She turned into a machine.
very little body fat, turned into a machine.
Like her and
And
Steffi Graf playing against
oh,
each other was like
they
two
were
Terminators fighting
those were
against each other.
those were classic matches. Two really good athletes,
Mm.
and just you can't forget Chris. Chris Everett was in there, and she was winning, but I think she would tell
She
you
was too
too
early for
that
me
when
because I didn't see her play.
yeah,
I don't
but she would
remember.
tell you too. And they're very close, her and Martina, but Martina had the upper hand once Martina turned into the machine version of herself. She had a tough time against Martina. So the reason I bring it up is the 79 match was very telling in the fact that, Billie Jean was riding off into the sunset,
Mhm.
but the next great champion was emerging. So I think that was the important factor there. So, and then I'm jumping ahead, but 1987, she gets her just due and she goes into the International Tennis Hall of Fame.
Hall of Fame.
Yes.
Yeah.
Uh, Now, I also want to talk about her as a person and also talk about her. Again, I said earlier how she is really
Humanitarian.
she's a humanitarian, but she's just a fan of other sports. It's not just tennis. She
Mm.
is obviously women's sports are very near and dear to her. I'm sure she's ecstatic over what's going on with the WNBA and the game the other night that had 20,000 people and the World Professional Hockey League or the Women's Professional Hockey League, which was she was one of the driving forces behind that creation. Well, let me ask you, do you remember the name of the league that was before this current league? The one with the
Mm.
Buffalo Buttes in it and all those teams? Do you remember the league? I couldn't think of the name of the
I thought it
league.
was the PWHL, but
So
is that the one now?
that's the one now. That's the one now.
Hmm.
Like well, I'll tell you what happened. Billie Jean King Enterprises purchased that league, um, disbanded it
It
to
was the
create.
National Women's Hockey League, the
Okay,
NWHL.
but there you go. Okay, thank you. So she purchased that league with other investors.
Hmm.
They disbanded it. They created the PWHL.
Yep.
They did something very clever, I think. Other people might disagree with me, but they started the league with only six teams, much like the NHL with the original six. So you had a team in New York, Boston, Minnesota, Montreal, Toronto. There's there's one more that I'm missing, but
Wasn't
uh,
there one in like Minnesota or something?
yeah,
Did you
there
say
was the
that?
Minnesota one, yeah, but there's a team somewhere else. There were six teams, and now they've expanded. There's two
There's,
more teams coming in next year.
there's Seattle. Is that one
Yeah,
coming in?
Seattle's coming in, and there's another one, isn't there? I think they added two teams. Uh,
Excuse me. One second. I'm trying to find the teams here. There's not a team in Ottawa, is there?
I don't think so. I think there's just the two teams right now in Canada.
So Seattle and Vancouver are the two teams
Okay,
coming
those
in.
are the two teams coming in. So there's your third Canadian team.
There's your West Coast
But
teams.
but what I was getting at is she's
Hold
not
on.
just
Montreal, Ottawa. Yeah.
well, there is an Ottawa
The
team.
Ottawa
Okay.
Charge.
Okay. So there's your teams. Okay. So there's your original six. And They also did something I thought was very good as far as getting the league, where it needs to be.
Hmm.
Some of the teams did some barnstorming. So they were playing home games in other arenas. One was Buffalo. Um, the Boston team, the Boston Fleet, came to Buffalo to play a game. So, and Buffalo's a market that probably should be on their horizon or their radar.
They probably would be if the Sabres were any good,
Yeah,
because
I think the
there would be
Sabres,
more
the poor Sabres are gonna,
clamoring for
yeah,
some
but
more hockey.
anyway,
Fucking Canucks.
she's very much into the success of that league, and we're seeing it again with full buildings.
Hmm.
She's very instrumental in marketing pretty much all sports. The other day, I was watching a promo that she did with the women's professional football league was having their championship weekend a few weeks ago, and she
Hmm.
promoted that. She's out there. She's never home. She's always on the road doing something. A very giving person. She approaches business and um, what have you, negotiations, just like her playing day. She was, very much committed, had a game plan, and stuck to it. She's also the part owner or minority owner of the LA Dodgers, so she's out in LA often. So very remarkable human being,
Hmm.
I must say.
How about we discuss the current tournament that's about to start tomorrow?
Yes,
Did you have anything
open to it.
additional on Billie Jean King that you wanted to touch on?
I
We
might
could.
pop into my head as I'm talking about the tournament, but I can't think of anything right now. I think we more or less touched on the highlights of her career.
And if anything pops up, we could always just post it on Facebook
Yeah.
under the show notes. Um, on our when I post the episode on Facebook, I can just post it in the comments under. So the championships at Wimbledon start tomorrow, and I would figured we'd start with the less exciting of the two and start with the men's draw.
Exactly. Exactly.
But I think you'll find that there's some interesting people kind of sprinkled into the draw that could cause that at least have the talent to cause a problem for some
Right.
of
Right.
these gentlemen. For those that are not familiar, right now, if your name is not Yannick Sinner, Carlos Alcaraz, or Djokovic, you're probably not winning
Right.
a
Right.
major tournament right
Probably
now
not.
on the men's draw.
Exactly.
It's those
Exactly.
three, and like those three, a bit of a chasm, and then everyone else. Right?
I would concur with that. Yes. Yes. I think it will come from that. It will come from that. But I think those three, the again, the one player that I think, being that it's his home tournament and
Well, I'll get to
could,
him. I'll get to him in a
okay. Okay. What
second.
you wait on that? Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, so Sinner's at the top of the draw. He's
Okay.
the first. He's the top seed. On his part of the draw, it's possible that in the third round could have to play Shapovalov,
Okay.
who is seeded 27th. Canadian. You and I seen him play a few times. He has the athleticism to beat anybody, but the question is, can he put that game together for an entire match?
Mm-hmm. Five
But
set or
I thought it was interesting. He could at least give him enough trouble that maybe down the line, even if he doesn't beat him, that causes maybe some fatigue later in the tournament.
very possible. You well you touched on it, and I think if you remember the match, I think you do, because I think both of us were kind of in awe of the match that Shapo played at the Open against Rublev.
Hmm.
And
That
it
was
was
a really
five
great
setters,
match.
and they were just cranking backhands like there was no
They
tomorrow.
were They were tearing the cover off the ball. However
Yes.
many games, I don't know how many games it is. Is it 6 games or 5 games when
Six
they change?
games, but they went
No,
five
but
sets.
when they change balls,
Oh, I want to say 8 games.
but it felt like they needed to do it
Yeah,
sooner
they
because
did because
those they were just
they were pounding them.
destroying those balls.
I just couldn't believe they were cranking those backhands in the late in the fifth set, and he loses in a tiebreak.
Yeah,
But amazing tennis. So what I'm getting at is he's got the tools, I
he's
think, to
capable of it.
yes, but he's gonna have to yeah, he's gonna have to gonna have to find a way to play long matches. And so I don't know. He's struggled of late, so the
So in
last
that,
few years.
also in that little part of the draw in the fourth round, Sinner could run into, is it Tommy Paul?
Tommy Paul, the American, yeah.
Yeah.
He could give him a trouble. He could give him trouble. I don't want to criticize American tennis because
There's a lot
obviously,
more American men out here than there has been from
yes,
what I
because
remember.
you've got Tommy Paul.
Well, there's a couple in the bottom of the draw here that I think could also cause some issues. So that's like the first quarter of the draw
Right,
right there,
right. Okay.
right?
hmm
Um, and then
Just for just to where is Tiafo? Where's he seated?
so if we go down to the bottom of the draw with
Okay.
Alcaraz, uh, I think his possible first real test could be Sissipas,
Okay.
which
Yep.
would
Yeah.
be first, what's the first round? Second, that's fourth round.
Okay. Okay. So that would be the second week. Yeah, the beginning of the
Yeah.
second week.
Tiafo is seated 12th and on his half of the draw.
Okay. So he's gonna have
Rublev
to
is seated
yeah.
14th and is the other guy on in that quadrant or that not I don't even know if it's even a quadrant, that eighth. I don't know. Uh Rublev is seated 14th. I can't see
Okay.
the whole
Yeah.
screen all
Yeah.
at once, but um who else
I
is down
I
here?
actually I like Rublev. However, he's got a little. Did you remember Merit Safin?
Yes.
He's got a little Merit
But
Safin in
but
him.
Marisafin, if he didn't
Well,
get it in his head, he would win the tournament.
yeah, well, he did win one slam, so it was
I think he won two.
pretty good too. And Rublev hasn't won any, but he just has that one match where he just explodes, and it's like
Mhm.
out the window, forget it. So if he ever would pull things together, and like we were just referring to earlier in that match with Chapo, brilliant match. And if I remember correctly, he might have come out the next match and lost. I was out of the tournament. So
I
it's
don't
just that he
remember.
can't seem to put together,
Yeah,
but what is it, 6 matches you have to win a slam?
you got me there. No, seven, right? You got to win first, second,
That's hard to
third,
do, yeah.
fourth, quarters, semis, championship.
But you got to have
Seven.
a 7 game
Win
win
streak.
streak to,
Well,
to win a
somebody
slam.
does every year.
Somebody does, yeah.
Someone's got to
Somebody
do
does.
it. Who else did we have? If I run back to the top of the draw, Tommy Paul, another American Shelton is the 10th seed
Good
there.
player. A very good player.
We got Gael Monfils
Best athlete out
playing
there.
Humbert. So unfortunately, two Frenchmen have to play against each other. I don't know anything about Nakashima, the American.
Uh, Good player, college player. I believe he played at
Hmm.
UCLA. Really good player. I don't think he's ready to knock off any of the big
Any
the
of the big guns.
big
Yeah.
guns yet. But has a good game. And again, On grass, you never know. It's a very fast surface, and
So, why don't you mention Draper, who is on this side of the draw?
yeah, he is I think he would be somebody you need to watch, and I'm sure and it depends what player you talk to. Some players look at potential matchups when they see their seed and their draws, and there are other players just next guy up, which is probably the way that you should do it.
Mm-mm.
But Draper is looming because Draper, I think, is will be the next great British player. I think we saw a little bit of it last year at the Open. He had a pretty good U.S. Open, and he's gotten better. Again, he got into, I believe, the did he make the quarterfinal of the French? Um,
I didn't watch the French.
but I don't recall, but I do recall watching some of his matches. Big lefty,
Hmm.
big serve. Will probably be very dangerous on grass. So I would give him a chance to make some noise. I'm not saying he's going to win the tournament just yet.
Hmm.
He might have a tournament or two in his future, but I think he'll surprise some people. I remember.
So,
I'll tell you this story. When I was at Wimbledon last
mhm,
September,
mhm.
when we did the tour, the uh, both the guide and I was speaking with a gentleman in the pro shop or the gift shop there, and we were talking about British tennis and the fact that Andy Murray retired and who's the next player that's going to pick up the banner, and they raved about Jack Draper. So keep your eyes open for Jack Draper.
And so then the guy who could screw up the entire part of that side of the bracket is the six seed Novak Djokovic,
Yes, he can definitely win
even
the
at the
tournament. I
six
think he can
seed.
win the tournament. Yeah, I think he can. He can. This is a tournament he can win. Uh,
I'm just surprised he's a six seed.
I know. I know.
Uh, so then on the other side of the draw, back on the Alcaraz side of the draw, so whoever beats him is really, if anyone beats him, is really going to have they're really going to have to push themselves because that guy gets to every ball. He's so quick.
Alcaraz is. Yeah, I agree. I really. There's not much more I can add. I've never seen someone who
He's like Nadal.
is never out of a point.
Now, he's got a lot of work to do to get to Nadal's numbers, but like he's
Right.
like Nadal. He's Nadal-like in his ability to get to the ball.
No, there's
Uh,
nothing that I remember. It would have been last year's Wimbledon
mhm.
championship between him and Djokovic. And Djokovic hit a shot that was on the sideline and had pretty good pace on it. And
I think I know what you're talking about.
Alcaraz was in the behind the baseline. Not only did he get to the ball, he hit a angle shot that just cleared the net, and no way the Joker was able to get there. It's just a shot that yeah, this guy's got to have his reaction time is amazing.
The F1 like reaction time.
Yeah, it's just like his fibers. He must have a lot of white fibers in his legs because he moves like I've never seen a guy that quick. And you know, he never seems to be out of a point. So yeah, so what you were saying earlier about his quickness and court coverage is so true. It's got to be a hard guy to play against.
So on that half of the draw, I had mentioned Tsitsipas, Rublev, who we just talked about briefly. Tiafoe is on this half.
And that's the half of that's Alcaraz's half.
This is Alcaraz's half,
Okay,
yes.
okay.
Who else is over here?
And Joker's
Zverev.
Again, another guy who, you know, any tournament now, I'm waiting for him to put it together because he's definitely got game, but he cannot win in the late rounds.
And Fritz, the
Taylor
American.
Fritz,
Taylor
another
Fritz.
guy who, again, who can play some great tennis, but
He's the
can't.
fifth seed here.
Yeah, yeah. It's going to be a fun tournament, but hopefully we can have some good matches.
Let's pop over to the women's side of the draw.
Mm. So I'm assuming what's it? Sabalenka,
Sabalenka's the first seed.
Coco,
Second seed is Coco Gauff.
Pagula
Uh,
third seed, or
Let me see. This is not set up very easily to view. Yes, Pagula's the third. Fourth has got to be up here. Then Paolini, the Italian.
who made the final last year? Okay.
She's fourth. Up near her is Madison Keys, is sixth seed. Um, if you have any names, throw them out there. Zhang, the
She's a Chinese
Chinese
player. Yeah,
Chinese player, is
good player.
five. She's the fifth seed.
Like I would now rule out Madison Keys. Like Madison Keys has won the Aussie this year.
Hmm.
She played really good at the French before she lost. So I'm not ruling out Madison Keys to go deep into the draw. Again, she's got that game that she can do damage at Wimbledon. Um, but I like Sabalenka, Coco. I think are going to be there at the end.
So
Uh,
as
it,
far as who's
it,
on
where's
who's,
Iga Swiatek?
oh, I just had her. Um, I think she's on the bottom half of the draw. Yeah, she is. She's at eight.
Okay, okay,
So she's on
nice.
Coco's side of the draw,
Okay, okay.
along with Pagula. Mm, Azarenka,
Yeah, she's still
still
playing these
down
matches.
there.
She's
Yep.
still lurking. Yeah, I think her best
Um,
days are behind her, but she can still
she could
give some
upset
people.
somebody.
Oh yeah, she can. Yeah, she's primed for an upset at some point.
And then Andreeva,
Good player, yeah, good young player.
she's the seventh seed on that side of the draw. Um, on the other side of the draw, on Sabalenka's side, you've got Mertens at 24.
Okay, at least Mertens, yeah, I believe she's
Hmm.
from Belgium. She's
Belgium.
there as a Belgium, yeah.
Yep. Svitolina, who I believe we saw play.
Yeah, that's
She's Ukrainian.
she's from Ukrainian. She's the wife of Mofis.
Oh yeah. You're-
Yeah, we saw her. We saw her last year, right?
yeah, we saw. I think so.
Swetlina. Yeah. Good player. Again,
Madison
a good
Keys at
player.
the top of that draw.
Okay.
Paolini at the top of that draw. So it's going to be no walk in the park for anyone in that tournament.
I think it's a very balanced. Yeah, I think it's a very balanced draw. I think as I was telling you earlier before we went on air, Pagula won her the tournament this past weekend
Hmm.
in Germany on grass. So
Good warm up.
she's coming off a warm up and a win. She beats Swiatek in the final. So Jesse could do some damage. So we got to give her a go, Bills. And
There's
we
another
also,
player out here who we haven't heard from in a while who's just like lurking and could, like, I don't know if she's ever going to put it back together, but that's Osaka, Naomi Osaka.
yeah,
If she does,
yeah,
she's unseated here, but
she is
she has won
she's won
majors,
slams. Yeah, she's won two slams. I
more
know
than
she's won an
one.
open.
Yeah, I think it's more than one.
So oh, she has won. Yeah, she's won multiple slams. So yeah, I agree. She just has right now she's just going through a rough patch, but. if she's unseated, she's going to have a seat early. You
Zhang
never know.
would be her
Oh,
first.
would it be her first one? Okay, that's going to be a tough match for her.
That would be her second match if she gets through whoever she's playing. Gibson looks like an
Okay,
Aussie.
so she can always, these past champions can always do damage.
Hmm.
Never know, you know.
Yep.
So yeah, so looking forward to it. It's a magical place. Having finally got there last year, and one of these days I want us to get over there and check out check out the tournament. I don't know if you want to hear this, but the
It's a great way to start a story.
but no, it's a way to get tickets for either center court or court one.
Oh.
And talking to our guide, she was saying how, because I told you, I'm in the lottery every year and I don't get anything, and she said, well, what you can do is you come over to the tournament, you
Hmm.
get there early, you buy a grounds pass. You can buy a grounds pass. They are available. So the grounds pass is for every court with the exception of center and court one. And then you put your name in a queue. And now it's on your phone and
Yep.
you enter the queue. And then during the day, if someone's not going to use their tickets or they're going to leave the tournament early, their tickets are available.
Hmm.
And she says the majority of people will get the queue on a particular day. Now we're not talking about,
Last day.
championship Sunday
Yeah.
or Saturday of the last day, but we're talking about the first week.
Yeah.
So that could be something we could do. Is just go there and get a grounds pass. At least you're seeing matches.
Yeah.
And the first week of the tournament, you're going to see some good players on the outer courts.
Middle of the first week, you probably see some good
Yeah.
matches.
So that's an idea.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm still trying every year with the lottery, but to date I haven't
Haven't
gotten
had
any
any luck there.
little luck there. So
Yeah.
there you go. So for anybody out there that wants to go to Wimbledon,
Wants to take us.
yeah, wants to take
We'll even
us,
do a show there.
go yeah. Go there and get a grounds pass and work it that way. The worst case scenario, you're going to see a lot of good matches on the outer courts. So there you go.
I mean, we some of the best matches that we've seen were on that what court 17
Yeah,
over at
court, court
the
17 or
National Tennis Center.
yeah, yeah, or the bull ring, that round one.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, I agree.
They
Um,
just seem to put matches, entertaining matches out
there's
there
actually a lot of good
consistently.
matches on that court. Yeah, I don't know.
I
To
don't
be
know
honest with you,
why.
and we were talking about it. We were talking about it 2 years ago when we were watching Shapo and Rublev.
Hmm.
Because we were saying, why isn't this match on Ash?
Yeah.
'Cause Ash was empty at that time.
Hmm.
There was nothing going on, and I just think
They may
this
really
was,
missed an opportunity
yeah, I
there.
don't understand that. I mean, yeah, you had a full arena, or a full, stands were full, but you might have you know, might have had a
Well,
lot more
think of how
people in the
electric you could have
stadium.
gotten the stadium for that night match then.
Oh, I know, I know. I don't know, I
Those
don't
night
know why.
matches.
I
I
I,
don't know.
I question
Decision
some of
making
the
as far as
decision making.
who ends up where on some of
Um,
those.
but let me ask you this. I don't know if you saw I don't know if you saw this story or not, but I know a lot of the women players are commenting and they're not happy. The French Open,
Hmm.
who's the tournament director, is a former female player, rescue, French champion. They refuse to put a women's match on at night.
At the
So they don't,
French?
at the French. They were all men's matches.
Why?
I guess they just feel that that's going to be a better draw, which I disagree.
If
But
anything, it's the other way around.
yeah, so I'm wondering what your opinion
I
would be
think
of that.
that's I think that falls in line with just because somebody has my belief that just because somebody has a successful business does not make them smart.
Right, well, that's true. That's a good way to put
Does not necessarily mean they're smart.
it.
They might be, but they also might not be. So in this case, French Open, you have succeeded despite your stupidity. Has it always been like that, or that was just the way they did it this year?
Well, they haven't always. I think that they started night matches a few years ago. I don't think they did it as long as the U.S. Open.
Uh,
But I like the way the U.S. Open does it. It's always a men's and women's match. Usually the men are later, but not always. I mean, there were times when Serena, when she was still playing, she would play the second match.
right,
But
because that's who people
but
came to see.
The French, this thinking, and I know numerous pros had comments about it
It's just a very backwards way to
because they just
think, in
think
my
it's.
opinion.
I'm sure Billie Jean had an opinion about it, but I haven't heard Billie Jean's comment on it. I don't know if she did. I haven't heard it. I didn't see anything, but your top seeded players had comments that they thought that was a joke, that they should have been showcased also, and
Hmm.
which, like you and I have spoken a lot. If you want to watch good tennis,
Hmm.
construction of a point, watch the women's game because the men's game they're just going to serve you off the court for the most
Unless you're
part.
seeing those three that we talked about at
Well,
the
yeah, unless
outset,
you're playing the best, unless you got the
unless you're
best
seeing
playing
those
the
three
best.
playing against one another,
Yeah, right, right.
the chance of you seeing a good match, you have a much better chance on the women's side. Did you have anything else for
I
Wimbledon?
think we're good. Think we're good. Looking forward to it. Next
Hmm.
2 weeks, lots of tennis
Lots of tennis
on the green grass.
did we want to do a little sneak peek on what we have planned coming up after this episode?
Yes, 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 yes. Are we
'Cause,
talking Sabres draft with a special guest?
yes, I believe we are because yeah, because it's we're filming, recording, whatever, I don't know, whatever you call this, recording on the 29th of June here. So the draft has commenced, right? And is completed.
Hmm.
And the Sabres did not trade their pick. They used it because God knows they need help in 5 years on defense. Um, so with the draft being done, now free agency will be starting shortly. And I believe,
Day after tomorrow, right?
yeah, I believe it's the 1st of July, right?
Yep.
Yeah. And yeah, I don't know that he still has season tickets anymore. We'll find out. But
Well, if he does, I have to give him my kudos to him
I
because
feel like he might have got rid of
to watch that product that
them.
we've had to watch the last decade and a half is frustrating.
Uh,
Um,
but
the what was
yes.
I going to say? Oh, also, just a comment. Take it for what it's worth. I personally thought, and it's unfortunate because these young men are, it's a big day for them. I thought the ESPN coverage was horrible. I watched for like 5 minutes and I said, I can't watch this. I can't. It's just was not well done. It really was not
I
well
didn't
done.
really watch it at all. So what was bad about it? I would love
Well,
to know.
first off, the team officials weren't there. You saw them on a big screen when they made their choice, with the exception of some picks were made
Uh-huh.
there. For example, the Sabres, the Google Dolls made the first Sabre pick,
Right.
and other celebrities and what have you were there making picks. But the brass of the clubs were back in their draft rooms back home. It was just players walking up, getting their picture taken with our illustrious commissioner, interview. And then it wasn't, I just don't think it was well presented. I got bored with it.
Well, that wouldn't be a surprise from ESPN because they're just turning into the AI slop of sports
Yeah, it
television.
really is.
Just
There's no creativity, and there's no creativity that I see uh, with these draft shows. I did not watch the NBA draft either.
that one was
I do like
probably
the
more innovative.
yeah, and I do like the NFL draft. I do think they do a great job with the NFL draft. Um, but you have different. I think there's a little bit of there's a little bit of competition there because you have the NFL draft on ESPN, and you also have it on the NFL Network.
Right. So they
So
can't mail it
if
in.
if NFL sucks, you go to the NFL, you go to the NFL Network.
You go to the ESPN,
Um,
and then if ESPN
or
sucks,
there's
you go to the NFL Network.
and then there's McAfee, which
You
is
could
probably
also
the
do,
best of all three.
well, yeah, if you don't want to hear just inane.
Did you watch the McAfee this year on the draft?
Yeah, I think I did. I had it
Did Lou
on.
Holtz make an appearance?
You know what? I wasn't watching it that closely. I'm sure he did, but I wasn't watching it that closely because we were picking so late. I think I was barely able to stay up for that.
I was fighting to stay awake, but I had
Mm,
to hear who we are going to pick.
mm.
But anyway, I don't know. It's probably not the most exciting things to televise, but hey, you're in the business of entertainment. You got to figure it out, ESPN. So figure it out. Find
So
somebody
yes,
that.
our next episode we plan on really discussing some Sabres hockey with likely a special guest and putting together what the roster looks like, where the holes still are. Hopefully, some of these are filled by the time we film our next episode and we don't have to be bitching about it for 45 minutes, but I'll believe that when I see it.
I know. I don't know what we're going. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. I don't see. Hopefully, there'll be some free agency
We'll see.
signings. We'll see what happens, and we'll see
Still
what the
like to see a
story is on.
goaltender.
We'll see what's going on with. Is there another player that's a restricted?
Byram,
Oh, Byram's the other one. Yeah, that's right.
nothing's happened
And
there
they're
yet,
shopping him allegedly.
allegedly.
Okay, so they sent Paterka to the hinterlands of Utah, so we won't hear from him again.
Excuse me. But and then we have some other, I think, really well, hopefully, really good ideas for some shows. So more to
Yeah, we
come,
got a whole bunch of yeah, a whole bunch of show ideas in the hopper here. So
so to speak.
we'll be talking about them off air. See what's coming up.
So if that is all you've got, Dad, I think we'll call it an evening with Wimbledon starting up tomorrow. So for Greg, I am Matt, and this is Echoes from the Arena. Thanks for joining us.
Good night.